Hey fellow bikers, today we continue with the review of my 100k kilometers BMW S1000XR. We will be talking about the brakes, suspension, bodywork and accessories. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. Hence, if you have any questions or suggestions for my future reviews, please write it in the comments below. Along with a powerful and reliable engine, this bike is equipped with great brake system. It consists of two radially mounted Brembo M4 monoblock calipers, each with 4 pistons, 300mm Brembo discs and an axial Nissin master cylinder at the front, and standard single piston caliper at rear, all combined with perfect Continental's cornering ABS module that always works as it should and provides a new level of safety. Such a combination brings the rider almost perfect braking control. I've never had any issues with the brakes on my XR. On one unfortunate occasion, you can watch it in one of my earlier videos, I've tested the cornering ABS and it worked flawlessly. Although I was leaning into a curve, when hard pressed the front brake, the bike stopped properly. Such a nice piece of technology. Brake rotors after 100k kilometers are still in a great condition, but on approximately 50k kilometers, disc bobbins became worn out to the level the discs make that clicking sound when hard braking. I changed the front brake pads every 25 to 30,000 kilometers, and the calipers are so well designed it takes less than 20 minutes to replace them. I usually use the OEM Brembo pads, and only once I replaced them with the aftermarket EBC double sintered pads, which are also great, but they produce that squishy noise when braking, unlike the almost silent Brembo ones. Hence, if you don't mind the noise, EBC is a decent replacement. Also, one should change the brake fluid every 20k kilometers or annually, whichever comes first. It is very easy to change the fluid since it doesn't require to bleed the system electronically. Suspension on this bike is another wonderful piece of technology. It is semi-active, which means it is electronically controlled. Thanks to the sensors in front left fork and one next to the rear shock, the bike's ECU gathers information on the road conditions, and in combinations with other sensors on the bike and with DTC, it constantly adapts the compression and rebound response of the bike suspension, which provides better comfort, control and handling of the motorcycle in general. Some riders find it too stiff in normal street conditions, but actually it is pretty comfy when you get used to it. The suspension has two modes, road and dynamic, and in first ride one cannot notice any difference between them, but with time one becomes aware that the dynamic mode is much sportier than the road one. Along with the rest of my XR original equipment, it worked flawlessly all the time. I especially appreciate its reaction when hard braking before corners, because it brakes without that unpleasant diving of the front, which can be very dangerous as well. Also, when leaning, the bike suspension becomes solid as a rock, and this prevents any swinging of the bike, so it gives you more confidence in sporty riding. Replacement of suspension in front forks is also pretty easy, so it doesn't take much time to do it. With its weight of 220 kilograms and the standard seat height of 840 millimeters, the XR is a pretty huge bike. I am 195 centimeters tall and the XR seems of proper dimensions for my height, especially with tall touring screen. Like BMW R1250 GS, the XR is hard to reach the ground for riders under 180. Of course, there is a low seat with 820 mm, but the better option is factory lowered suspension with possible 760 mm of height. Now, about the quality of construction. The XR is a real diamond of BMW engineering, since it didn't suffer many changes in 7 years and 100k kilometers. Most of parts look as new, matte plastic as well, with only few things that color faded, like the water pump and the plastic on the timing chain cover. The rest of the bike looks almost as new. However, the worst part, quality-wise, are the hand grips. They looked beaten up already at 30k and are pretty expensive to replace with the OEM ones because of the heated grips feature. However, they can be replaced with cheap ones, and with some effort one can save the heating wire. I plan to replace mine and will record the process for all of you interested into doing so. Finally, the accessories. First of these is the manual chain oiler that I installed. This is definitely one of the best aftermarket accessories that one can get for their motorcycle. Before I bought the oiler, lifespan on the chain of my motorcycle was 25k max, with the noticeable wear already at 20k. However, with the oiler my chain should at least double that mileage. It is now at 30k and it is hard to notice any wear on it. Also, I highly recommend DID VX3 chain, which is a great and reliable chain and among the cheapest premium chains. As you already know, the best chain from DID is the ZVMX series, but be aware, since this chain is much wider than the VX3 or Regina ZRP series that BMW uses as the original equipment, it can increase the unwanted vibrations on foot pegs. Another accessory that increased the comfort on the bike in terms of the wind protection is the Puig Touring windshield with deflector, but I already talked about it in part 1 of this review. I also highly recommend it, and some owners who installed the MRI Touring windscreen told me that it is great as well. Next on the list is the LED high beam that I think is a great accessory for the XR. Unfortunately, this bike is equipped with old halogen headlights that in my personal opinion doesn't look good anymore. LED headlights are much better solution, and as I've heard, the aftermarket Chinese LED headlights are pretty bright and they definitely look better than the OEM ones. I might buy them as well, but in the meantime I'm using Philips H7 Essential LED lights that works fine on my XR. Of course, it is not easy to install them since the XR doesn't provide much space behind the bulbs, so you have to drill the plastic bulb cover to install the bulb properly. I also installed the lockable navigator mount from GS series and think that it's very convenient accessory for your XR. It has the same connectors as the OEM one, so it's plug and play, but in order to be able to use locking mechanism regularly, you have to move the whole mount 3 to 4 centimeters towards the rider, which is doable by small improvisation. Alright guys, that would be all for this part of the review. In the next and the final part of the XR review series, I'll be talking about the maintenance of the bike. I will enumerate and describe all the services I've done to the bike so far, including the list of manufacturers and serial numbers of things I used. Thank you for watching and see you soon.